Hello, Emery. It's Friday. Now, I have a lot to say today, mainly on the subject of Ebola. However, this seems like an appropriate subject since John and Emery addressed it on the same day, so I must say I'm happy to hear there's some good news. Emery, I don't think we're always taking it as seriously as we need to as a disease. There's a lot of jokes flying right now, but at the same time we kind of need those so that we're not scared out of our wits. Yes, I don't think it's going to get very far because the CDC has finally come out with the air droplet inflow that essentially tells people that it can be airborne, or more accurately it's passed by air droplets, like if you were in a flu in that way. Infected countries are being limited to 5 U.S. airports: Chicago, JFK, Newark, Dulles, and Atlanta. Yes, it's scary, but as far as it being in the US, I don't think it's really going to get very far now that we're actually getting somewhere with the CDC. Ebola is a virus, but further it is part of a distinct line of filoviruses like Marburg. This means that it is shaped like a little string. It has something like a 9 to 10 day growth period after exposure and is not really badly contagious until symptoms come. At first, they are pretty generic: headache or joint pain, nausea. Then they become more serious with and bleeding, and eventually you fall out, which is not a particularly pleasant process, and I'm not going to describe it to you. It essentially turns your guts into mush and fries your brain. Towards the end, victims show sign of severe brain damage. The news is that they're making progress on a vaccine, and clinical testing should start in West Africa by January. The bad news is that that's all we really know. We don't really have anything on a market dosage or availability in the future. And by January, there is an estimation that 1.4 million will have been infected, with a roughly 90% mortality rate. Those are tricky. With bacteria, you just kind of kill a strand and introduce it, and that builds immunity. But a virus is just like a protein sack of RNA trying to pass on its genes, like the purpose of life, but it's not really a life because there's no internal action going on or metabolism or anything. It's just kind of there and trying to continue. And so it goes up, it inserts its RNA, the RNA gets into your DNA, the cells anyway, and it's able to mutate it, turn the cell kind of against itself, and the cell then starts producing more viruses. So when the cell dies, those viruses leave and they infect other parts of the body. But because it's not alive, how do you necessarily kill it to introduce it like you would with normal immunizations? The answer is usually along the lines of you introduce the antigen as a vaccine, or you introduce a weakened version of the virus. Either way, to find a vaccine, this involves a bunch of scientists working in clunky hazmat suits with the world's most feared strain of virus, like ever. I can't really blame them for taking time with that. Long story short, though, I like the 5 airports idea. We're not cutting off the world so much, just kind of creating a semi-permeable membrane, and I feel like the CDC is starting to get control over this now. DFTBA, Emery, I'll see you on Tuesday.